What's up, humans? Welcome to a new episode of Psicoactivo. It's Friday. I hope you guys are about to have one of the best weekends of your lives. It's been a really busy week for the channel. Everybody's being really nice, commenting and sharing and talking about the videos that I've done. So I want to thank you guys for the support. It's really amazing the community that we all are forming, and I want to continue doing so. I think that as long as we stay true that we are a group, all of us, and that we have equal value, and that nobody has the right to tell us what to think or how to think. We can consume the information that comes our way, make our own assumptions, make our own interpretations, and then make decisions based on that. I think that is how this is supposed to work. And the topic today is very linked to that specifically. As you know, I try to keep a variation on the topics that I cover in this on this channel. Sometimes I do a little bit too much of the mummies coverage because I do believe that it's important, but I also speak a lot about consciousness. This week, my two most watched videos were about Mr. George Knapp and the Zodiac group, which has nothing to do with the mummies. It's more about the secrecy aspect of the phenomenon. Over 7 months, I can already kind of tell you a little bit of what I think ufology is right now. Let's see if the media analysis background that I have can help people get a better idea of what I see. I think there are several groups, right? There are groups that deal more with the mass media. They're a very tight group. They make a lot of income for talking about this stuff. They talk a lot about ancient scripture. They talk a lot about unproven hypotheses. Everybody in ufology technically talks about that, right? We need to see evidence. That would be the real smoking gun, just seeing evidence of that proves any of this. Because I am not discouraging nor denying what experiencers go through. I have had my own experiences that I cannot explain, but I do recognize and I acknowledge that it is so ethereal sometimes, this experience, that for people who have not had any type of experiences, it is impossible to believe. There are those who are believers despite they have not experienced anything, and there are those who are naturally skeptical because they haven't experienced anything and they just don't believe until they see. And all opinions should be respected. When I first started looking into this after the 2017 article, I saw an op-ed written by Elizondo. This was, I think it was when he was still doing the Unidentified show with Tom DeLonge and Hal Puthoff and Chris Mellon and all those people. And in his op-ed, he basically stated that ufology needed to die. And that was taken extremely out of context and as a threat to many of the ufologists who don't like Lou. And I don't think he explained himself very well when he said that, to be honest with you. What I gathered from what he said is that ufology lacks the professionalism that any other career in the world has. I don't think ufology must die. That's very extreme. I think ufology needs to evolve and morph into something that is more beneficial for society. Because right now, and I'm going to be completely 100% honest with you, the UFO topic is still consumed by less than 5% of the population. I know that there's growing interest, that at least interest has grown to maybe 15-20% of the whole world. I know that there are many cultures from different countries that regard the phenomenon as something different from what the Western world sees. Because the Western world, a lot of these ufologists are determined to prove that the phenomenon has to do with extraterrestrial civilizations. And none of that has been proven yet. There are stories, many of these stories are lies. They have been planted by the intelligence community over decades that deal with a lot of crazy stuff. Over the last week, I spoke to Christian Harloff on his show about the whole hybridization of the human population that Danny Sheehan was talking about during a space. He was doing a space with the boys, Digby and Tom from Unidentified Anomalous podcast. Shout out Digby and Tom. What he said there is basically has to do with the same talking points that have been discussed over decades about this hybrid stuff and about the system of control that the extraterrestrials have over humanity. But older cultures in India and Pakistan and South America, they regard the phenomenon as something very different. I would even dare say that in South America, the tribes from there regard the phenomenon as beings who have always lived here. And they believe they're crypto-terrestrial, essentially. They don't call them crypto-terrestrial. That's a modern scientific term for them. But they do think that they're underground and they have been here for a long time and they have telepathy powers, and And all of this information, there is really no way for it to be vetted other than oral traditions and experiencers who have gone through many different situations that lead them to believe or make them believe that they have experienced the phenomenon in any shape or form. This has to do with abductions, it has to do with consciousness enhancements, it has to do with the Men in Black, it has to do with Zodiac, it has to do with the Crash Retrieval Program, the Hitchhiker Effect, all of this stuff. But it is true. The very few scientists who have even attempted to explain this, it hasn't gone well for them. We can talk about Dr. John Mack. He died in an accident, but he was ostracized for a long time for the work he did. We can talk about Dr. Jacobo Greenberg, who was not directly linked to ufology, but some of his biggest friends in the topic were ufologists. And he did meet with Dr. Jacques Vallée in the 80s, at least twice, and John Keel, and Andrea Pujarich. Jacobo was also ostracized for a long time. There are other more modern cases, like Miss Amy Askridge, who recently was mentioned by Dr. Beatriz Villarreal. She died under mysterious circumstances, and she reported that she was being persecuted and threatened. There's also the case of Isaac Bentov, who had one of the most innovative theories of what human consciousness and consciousness evolution is about, and where humans were gonna be 100 years from now or 2,000 years from now. And he also died under mysterious circumstances. He died in a plane crash. So I think that one of the best ways to make ufology mainstream and important, and not allow for it to become a joke or a shadow of what it really is, because in many instances ufology is that. It is a caricature of what it really truly is. And that is thanks to many figures within the community that start off trying to report on the topic, but they eventually become corrupted by money, by influence, by knowledge, by power. There are many cases. You guys know the names. I don't have to tell you. And none of these people have gotten to understand. Maybe a couple of them, because I consider Dr. Jacques Vallée to be very level-headed, despite all the devotion that people have for him. He always keeps his head down. He doesn't like to go on talk shows that much. He sticks to the study, he sticks to the science. But there are many more that don't even think about not falling for that trap. And this is where we get to UFO cults. It's a real thing, and it is happening in every single group that is talking about a specific topic within ufology. There's always one cult, at least. And by cult, I mean people who are religiously following the topic and religiously defending the heroes they create inside their own heads about this topic. And I think that some of these people that have been elevated by their egos, they don't deserve to be part of ufology, to be honest with you. They don't deserve to be part of this topic. They won't back down. Obviously, there's a lot of money involved in it. I don't believe for a second anybody who says that there's no money in ufology, that's a lie. There's a lot of money in ufology. And there are a lot of examples of how much money there is. There are millions of dollars at play in ufology. And it is real. And I think that these people should be wary of the followers that don't have like a moral compass, really. And they transform these figures into their moral compasses or into their role models. And these people who are very famous, who have gathered following that is almost psychotic, they enjoy all the attention. They can't say that they don't. And I think that although I fully support what Lou Elizondo is doing, we see patterns and the same cycle repeating itself over and over again. There is the example of Dr. Stephen Greer, who in the 90s, in the early 2000s, really did a lot of groundbreaking work in ufology. That press conference right before 9/11 was historic. And if it hadn't been for the terrorist attack that happened in New York, I think that ufology and the topic and the UFO phenomenon would have advanced decades, but it didn't. And after that, people become corrupt, too much attention, they don't keep their egos in check, and we all know how this plays out. I don't know anything I say about any of these people. I know already, and this is one of the problems, I know already that if they perceive it as negative, the comments are going to be chastising me immediately. But I am not attacking anyone. I'm just trying to get people to be aware, and especially these people that are very famous and that people look up to you guys. And you're not doing your job correctly if you don't keep your egos in check, and if you don't realize that amongst your own followers, you need to police people and letting them know that you're really not that important as a figure, you know? You're just one more of us. And yes, your work is important and it should be commended. But you got to keep that ego in check, because what really happens is that these groups start rallying around you, and they defend you no matter what. Some of them even commit crimes in your name. They slander people, they attack people, and I think that's the vicious cycle that we haven't been able to get out of for decades. I just named two people that already have these followings, and I know Lou already notices that he has a lot of followers that are not necessarily beneficial for the movement. He knows this, and I hope he addresses it at some point. I am going to keep supporting Lou because I think that from the many interviews that I've seen about him, all the responses that I've seen have been honest. as far as I can tell. I think that what resonated to me the most is that he always kept trying to get people to first be concerned about themselves and their loved ones, and then focus on external factors of their lives, and then focus on ufology and other topics that they like. And he's always remained with the same kind of message. And that's why I still think that Lou Elizondo is true to what he's doing. But that doesn't mean that he's not getting unwanted attention from some of the followers that he has that blindly support him, and even go to extreme lengths to fight with others defending Lou. Lou doesn't need to be defended. He's an intelligence community guy. He knows how to defend himself from anybody. And the same thing happens with Dr. Greer. And it's happened with many more names that I'm not gonna just name drop here. I'm talking about these two because I have noticed since I got here on the space that there is like a war going on between the factions of these two guys. Both sides. I'm not saying these two guys are responsible. I'm saying the people that follow them are responsible. And then there's a third party that is more recent that I have gotten a little bit of trouble with now, even though I am trying to report the case objectively. At least I think so. That is the Mummies crowd, and these guys are like ramped up to 11 in terms of cultish behavior. I am obviously generalizing. It's not, the majority is objective, and they don't attack others, but there's a small group of them that they want their narrative and what they understood that the mummies are to be the only truth that exists. And many of them, the best way you can see that they have been infected by this cultish behavior is many of them instantly, under any tweet or publication, they spam people with what they think the mummies are. To be honest with you, I get why a lot of people block these individuals. I get why they don't take the mummies case seriously. A lot of them, many scientists who are really credentialed, have rejected studying this case because of this specifically. And I guess this is like a message or a calling to all of these people. I have to ask you guys to please dial it down and learn to recognize when people want to help the case, and learn to recognize when people are simply just skeptical about the case. They don't necessarily have to have like an ill intention towards any case, you know. And I think you guys are making a mistake by pushing people away who could really help the case if you were more respectful and if you were more unifying. I just want for people to be aware and be mindful that even I'm in danger of falling for that trap. Everybody is, of becoming a cult follower in the topic. And it is a French topic, guys. All of this. So it's very easy. It's a slippery slope that can easily turn you into a cult follower. So you need to be mindful. You need to divide your time of the day, dedicate only a little bit of it to this topic, and then just go about the rest of your day. Spend time with your family, touch the grass, play with your pets, go to the movies, play video games. Who knows? Go to the gym. Life is not all about ufology. There's so much more to it. And I do fear that many of these people that seem deranged and psychotic, they don't dedicate their lives to anything else. And that makes them become mentally ill at a certain point. We need to be mindful of that. Just to close out, I want to tell you guys a tweet that I saw that I really liked that goes like this: UFOs are a threat to human egos, fossil fuel industry, organized religion, divisiveness, apathy, materialism, the military industrial complex, control freaks, limits imposed on consciousness, old paradigms, outdated societal, institutional, and political systems. That is so true. So I want you guys to think about what I said and let me know what you think in the comments. Why do you think that people that get into this topic become radicalized in some cases, and in others they believe this idea that they become like a messianic figure? First of all, yes, people who are like big wigs or highly regarded in the topic, they do become thought leaders. Yeah, they are. Literally, that's what they are. But leaders generally reject the notion of being a leader. That's what makes a good leader. People who don't like the idea of becoming a leader. And the majority of these people absolutely fall in love with the idea of becoming leaders. And that's what we need to be wary of. Both the people up top and the people below. Be careful of how much devotion you pay to the people that you follow and that create content that you like. Just remind them and remind yourself they're just like you. They're not anything different than a human being that is doing a different job than you are, and that is providing you with valuable content. But you're the one who has to make the decisions for yourself after you watch the content. So think about that. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you like the content, please like, share, comment, subscribe. I try to put videos from Monday to Friday. If I see any videos on weekends that I think are worth putting out, I will when I can. But I also have a life. I have to spend time with the wife, with the family. So generally the weekends I'm not here. If you want to support the channel in any other way, I'm going to leave a few links in the description with a Amazon wishlist and 2 donation links. Any help would be greatly appreciated. And I thank you guys for all the support, and keep commenting, keep teaching me stuff. I love that. Without further ado, I'll see you guys on the next video. Have a great weekend. Bye.